Hi, and welcome to another edition of Right on Rangers Live, coming at you moments after a brilliant 8-1 victory over the Seattle Mariners. Nice to salvage a game in this series. My goodness. Glad that we could get one at home against the Mariners. And we did talk about deGrom on the hill. You know, the Mariners throw in a guy who had only made one major league start. If it was going to be a game, it was going to be this one for the Rangers, and the bats come alive. Rangers are able to take advantage of a very nice, what was that, third inning, excuse me, 6 runs scored, and Corey Seager kind of at the start of it all. I know we discussed on the show multiple times having Corey Seager back would be a boost for the offense. We weren't really sure how big of a boost it would be, but we thought it would be something. It would improve things a little bit. And Corey Seager gets the party started with a sharp single, sharp ground ball to right field, 109 miles an hour off the bat. Scored Josh Smith and Blaine Crim as well. And it was really all downhill coasting from there for the Rangers en route to an 8-1 victory. Jacob deGrom goes 5 strong innings today. Got into a little bit of trouble there in that third inning, I believe, loading up the bases. Allows 1 earned run. Had a couple of walks on the day. 5 base runners in five innings pitched. 3 strikeouts. You know, not his best day, but you never really felt like Seattle had anything crazy going outside of that 1 inning. And then the bullpen comes on and does a great shutdown job. We're going to talk about all of that and more here in just a little bit. Take all of your comments and questions as well. But of course, here at Right on Rangers, we cover everything sports, but we put a big emphasis on all the teams we love from the great state of Texas, including the Rangers, and especially the Rangers during the MLB season. Thank you for choosing Right on Rangers for all of your Texas Rangers content. Drop those comments. Hello, win column. I like Texas. All that good stuff, man. It's a good day to be a Rangers fan. And we're going to go through every aspect of this victory. We got to enjoy these wins. They have not been ever present over the last couple of weeks. So let's enjoy this one today. The Astros currently losing to the White Sox 5-4 in the bottom of the 7th. There is a delay right now. And then the rest of the AL West looks like the A's did beat the Marlins 3-2. Although I did see A's lost on a walk-off grand slam yesterday. Is that right? Mason Miller gives up a walk-off grand slam to the Marlins yesterday. Jeez. Okay, then. It is possible. I said that when we were facing Mason Miller the other day. I'm like, he can give up some runs. The Marlins can do it. Surely the Rangers could have. Wasn't meant to be, but let's focus on the positives here. LA also down 5 to the Detroit Tigers. So possible beyond the A's for the Rangers to gain a little bit of ground here today. Love it. Love it. Love it. So let's start here. Corey Seager, definitely a guy that the Rangers missed over the past week and a half. You know, yesterday he had a hit. Clearly, you know, you're only one guy. You can only do so much from game to game, but you saw the lineup that the Rangers put out yesterday and a week and a half ago, Tuesday, the day Corey Seager got injured. You see some of the fruits of what this lineup can bear when you've got Josh Smith and Wyatt Langford hitting in front of Corey Seager. You have RBI opportunities. And I know it's Blaine Crim that comes around to score one of those runs. Blaine Crim hitting in the 9-hole today. But when you give Corey Seager, when you give your best hitter RBI opportunities like this, it can make all of the difference in whether or not your team scores runs or not. And I think what you saw today is Corey Seager getting a multitude of RBI opportunities and coming through. Not always, you know, he was 2 for 5 today, no walks, but 2 for 5. But when you gave him RBI opportunities, Corey Seager drove him in. And I love to see that. And I love Corey Seager hitting in the 3-hole. I think you've got to continue to keep him right there. I did say last night, we were all a little bit down after the loss. let's give this lineup an extended period of time with Corey Seager in the 3-hole, and let's just see how it works. Now, I'm not going to sit here and champion or hot take and say, it's all back to normal. Don't worry. We're good. Look, I would almost say a contrary. Let's hold off a little bit. Let's be happy about today, but I need to see some consistency to feel better, to feel totally all the way good with this offense. But I think Corey Seager hitting in the 3-hole is the right spot. I really do. And I am very, very happy to have his bat back in this lineup. 797 OPS. He goes 2 for 5 with the game-winning RBI today. And by the way, game-winning RBI, whatever helps you hold the lead and keep the lead, right? And the Rangers didn't look back after Corey Seager makes it a 2-1 ball game with his 109-mile-an-hour single to right field. Corey Seager definitely welcomed back. And I think that the Rangers are going to be a better offense with his bat in there. I know that you're going to have to baby Seager a little bit here and there. I'm sure that they're going to be giving him some off days over the next couple of weeks. Nice that the Rangers have the off day tomorrow. That gives you a nice little day. I mean, look, maybe some people would say, no, it's not nice. I mean, you score 8 runs. You kind of want to go back out there the next day and get 8 more. But the Rangers, little built-in off day tomorrow before they start their next series. We'll preview that next series here on the show in just a little bit. But Corey Seager, the big lead today. The offense just looks better when he's in the lineup, particularly when he's hitting in the 3-hole with Wyatt Langford and Josh Smith hitting ahead of him. Josh Smith, huge day from him, 4 hits, kind of puts a little punctuation mark on it at the end there with the RBI triple. Did he come? No, he only had 3 singles and a triple. Okay, I was kind of wondering for a second how close he might have gotten to the cycle, but triple and then 3 singles for Josh Smith on the day. Great game for him. 311, 864 OPS. I love Josh Smith hitting leadoff. Wyatt Langford, I think, could be a fine option for leadoff, but I love Josh Smith hitting leadoff, followed by Wyatt Langford. And I think what you're seeing as well is when Corey Seager's in the lineup protecting Wyatt Langford, Wyatt is just going to get a lot of good pitches to hit. That's another reason why I love Corey Seager in 3-hole is Wyatt Langford is going to get pitches to hit. And today he did. He got walked 1 time. That's going to be, I think, pretty rare with Corey Seager hitting behind him, but Wyatt Langford walks once. And then you got him coming through with a base knock in another inning. And then 920 OPS now on the year. I think Wyatt Langford's really going to benefit from Corey Seager protecting him. And then Jock Peterson, 0 for 4 on the day. I know he had a couple of line drives. J.P. Crawford made a nice play on one of those liners. Look, the numbers still aren't there for Jock, and I know a lot of people are going to continue to pick on him. I do feel like it's been better of late, but it's got to be better in terms of production. We can't just keep on sitting up here saying, well, at least he hit the ball hard. I mean, at some point, you got to get hits. And Jock Peterson, I do think it's going to come around eventually, but it's a tough go right now. We're going to get into more of the slash lines, more of the box score here in a little bit, but let me go ahead and start taking all of y'all's comments and questions. Thank you so much for tuning in with us live today. By the way, Josh Smith, first 4-hit game for him. Love it. First 4-hit game for Josh Smith. Let's go Rangers. Finally a good day at the plate. I'm with you. Love it. I do feel like Jock is getting unlucky. He did have a strikeout today, didn't he? He had one, I think, strikeout where he was called out, strike 3, but otherwise put the ball in play. I don't know if he hit the ball particularly hard today. I know that one play, Crawford makes a really nice catch there on a line drive, but I'm not sure he had any 105-mile-an-hour scorchers or not. 86-mile-an-hour line out to center field in the first inning. Let's continue to go down the line. We might as well. Bottom of the 3rd inning, he lined out to shortstop, 85 miles an hour. Crawford made a nice leaping play. I think that's probably the unlucky one that we're going to talk about. And then bottom of the 4th, called out on strikes. Bottom of the 6th inning for Jock, flied out to center field, 88 miles an hour, 315 feet. And then what else did we have? We had a pinch hit opportunity eventually, right? Leote comes in and pinch hits. So look, nothing scorched today from Jock Peterson. Did get a little unlucky on that Crawford hit, though. When was the homer that he missed by a few feet? I had to listen to some of this. Fam and I were out doing a few things. We got lunch today, Sunday, kind of a family day. So sometimes with these early games for us out here on the West Coast, I don't always get to watch the first part. But what was the home run by a few feet? I'm just looking at some of the numbers here, advanced stats. The one to center field? What was the home run that he missed by a few feet? The stats at least aren't helping me out here. I saw the 315-foot one to center. Help me out. The same at bat he struck out. Foul ball. Okay. That's why I'm not seeing it. That one was one I was probably out to lunch for, keeping track of the game on my phone. But I'll definitely have to check that one out in MLB Film Room. Jock has had a few where he, like in San Francisco, y'all remember that one in San Francisco where he just missed it on, I think it was in the ninth inning. He was pinch hitting. So he's had a few. I do like what I'm seeing from Jock Peterson. I will say, I think Jock's been having some better ABs. I like what I'm seeing. It was a foul ball, 114 miles an hour off the bat. Hello. I'm going to have to look that one up in MLB Film Room. Appreciate y'all helping me out, filling in some blanks. Like I said, Sunday's kind of a tough day when it's not an afternoon game on the West Coast. Like we're mostly, for the most part, home by like 1 or 2, but normally we do church in the morning and then we go out to eat. So sometimes I end up missing a little bit. Smith is on fire, though. I mean, 4 hits today, most hits he's ever had in a game. Love it. Absolutely love it. Didn't see the one that he hit foul, almost a homer, but I'm going to have to check that one out for sure. Let me see if I can actually pull that one up, what the stats were. 114 off the bat. Hard Chuck, appreciate that. 114 miles an hour off the bat. My goodness. So let's go back to the called strike. That was in the bottom of the 4th. So the foul ball, it's not going to let me get advanced stats on it, but the foul ball, first pitch, right down the pipe. Hello. Okay, look, we'll take it. I do feel like overall Jock Peterson's been better up at the dish. I really do. Really, really do. So I think that if you can get this kind of production, you don't even have to score 8 runs. Give me 4 or 5. Like the offense doesn't have to go ham every game. Just give me 5 runs, 4 or 5 runs. I think that would be all you really need with how good the pitching's been. Look, deGrom, great game from him. Not his best, but good enough to win. And then you had Webb coming out. Love seeing Webb put up zeros. 1 base runner in 2 innings. Milner, my boy, 1 walk, 1 base runner in an inning pitched. ERA down to 172. And then Luke Jackson gets a couple swings and misses today. Look, not bad from him. I don't know what they're going to be doing with Luke Jackson moving forward, but I can imagine it's going to be a little bit of a mix and match from here on out in the 9th inning. I don't know if it's still Luke Jackson's job. I don't know if they've asked Bruce Bochy about it. Y'all help me out. Have they asked Boch about the closer situation? I don't feel like I've heard any noise from reporters if there's been like an official unseating with Luke Jackson in the closer role. You guys let me know if you've heard something different, but I almost wonder at this point, Luke Jackson, 6 ERA. Yes, there's been a couple of losses where he's gotten a little bit unlucky with errors. One of them was an error he made himself, right? But I do think at this point, if it was me, I would be doing a little bit of mixing and matching with Garcia, Jackson, and Chris Martin. Chris Martin, even he's run into a little bit of trouble in some of these tied games. Somebody made the point on the show yesterday. What is it with like tied games going into the 9th inning? The Rangers appear to just not be able to get it done in those kinds of situations. If it's like a 1-run, 2-run game, no problem. Game tied in the 9th, for whatever reason, it's been a tricky spot for the Rangers. I did see that. I commented it was getting a little out of pocket with Raymond and Baxick talking about Baywatch on the broadcast today. They started talking about Pamela Anderson at one point. I think they just didn't know what to do in a lopsided game where the Rangers were actually blowing out an opponent. I think it was such a foreign thing to them. It started going off the rails a little bit, talking Pam Anderson and Baywatch at one point in the broadcast. Like, on one hand, I'm kind of here for it. Like, finally, the Rangers have a big enough lead where the commentators and the broadcasters have got to fill the time with more interesting, entertaining stuff in the game itself. Like, look, I'm not going to complain. I'm really not, but it was kind of funny. James, I'm with you on that one. Mike, I do agree. I'd like to see kind of a by committee closer at this point. I don't think you've got to nail it down to any one. I think you can totally mix and match. Do you have a bunch of lefties coming up? Go Garcia. But I think if you got righties, sure, Jackson Martin, whatever the case may be. And Mike, for the record, I like the banter too. I'm not hating on it, but I'm just saying, you know that the Rangers just haven't had that many blowouts when we're moving on to Baywatch, Pam Anderson, David Hasselhoff, and all that in the middle of the game. I thought it was great. So I'm not complaining. I am not complaining at all. Do I think there's a move? Do I think there's a world where we make a move for Ryan Helsley of the Cardinals? Absolutely. I just wonder what the Cardinals are going to want in terms of prospects, because at this point, Helsley's only going to be a guy that you have for half a season. So I do wonder what the asking price is there with Helsley. I do think the Rangers need to go out and get somebody. If they're going to be an October team, which I think they can be, offensive struggles aside, you do wonder, who are they going to have to give up, and what are they going to give up for a closer type arm or a high leverage arm, let's just say, because I don't think who they have right now is who you want to go into battle with necessarily in the postseason. Like, could we go in with Garcia, Martin, Jackson, and just roll the dice? Yeah, but I would much rather have somebody else that can fortify the pen. And I do think the way that they're setting it up right now, and the way they've talked about it, even in the offseason, is let's see where the Rangers are at the deadline. If you're in the mix, if you are looking very promisingly at a playoff spot, then I do think you are willing to give up some prospects to get an arm like Helsley. But if it's close, if the Rangers are scuffling a little bit, I don't think that you sell off any farm pieces to go get Helsley if it's not nearly a foregone conclusion that you're going to be in the playoffs. I don't know. Mike, I think that might be a little too much for Helsley. I really do. I don't think you're going to have to give up Osuna and a top pitching prospect. I would be a little surprised at that, but maybe I'm wrong. I don't know if personally I would want to give up that much for Helsley, Osuna, and a top pitching prospect. I could see one or the other, like you give up Rosario and you throw in some other guys, or you give up Osuna and then you throw in some other guys as well. But to give up Osuna and a top pitching prospect, I feel like that might be a bit high of an ask for a half-season rental. Maybe I'm totally off on that, but I just think that might be a little too steep. I think you're going to give them one or the other, but I don't think they're going to give both top pitching prospect and get Osuna as well. That seems like a bit much. We do get Spores back. That's true. Hard Chuck, I appreciate the comment and the reminder on that. I think we're all holding our breath a little bit on Josh Spores, are we not? I know I am. I can't say I'm really counting on Josh Spores to be healthy all the way through the end of the season. And I know that that's super negative and pessimistic, but with how much injury issues Sporzy's had over the last 2 seasons since the epic glove spike to end the 2023 season, I really don't know if I'm counting on him to be a guy in October at this point. Like, I'd love to think that he is going to have 4 straight months of perfect health, but I just don't know. And so at this point, I'm counting on a trade happening. If you can get a healthy Josh Spores down the stretch, it's total gravy, icing on top of the cake. But I think that the front office would do well to go out and get somebody outside of the organization. And then if you got a spoiler riches in the bullpen, great. Great. If you got a healthy Spores and a Ryan Helsley and Chris Martin and Luke Jackson and Robert Garcia, I don't think anybody's complaining. but I don't think that you can count on Spores to be healthy all the way through the end of October or the middle of October, whatever you want to put it in terms of a date. I do think there is something to be said here. The Cardinals know that there's going to be some teams in the market for a Helsley. So if you've got some competition, there might be a team that gives up a little bit more than what they may have had to. I think that is something that you have to keep your eye on. Cardinals probably are in a spot where they can be greedy. The Joey Gallo trade, I've done a video on this. I think I put it out about a week and a half ago. The Joey Gallo trade was a great trade for us. I mean, first of all, you got Josh H. Smith, you got Zeke Durant, both quality players, and at this point, more quality than Joey Gallo. Joey Gallo peaked in his time in Texas. And just to talk a little bit about Joey Gallo, one of the things I talk about with my buddies a lot, I feel for Joey because he kind of got talked out of taking the extension from Texas by Scott Boras, his agent, and he's never been able to recover from that. I think the Rangers, I don't know the exact number by memory, but the Rangers were willing to give Gallo a pretty nice extension, and Gallo and Boras didn't want to sign it, and that's a big reason why he got traded. So the big miscalculation there from Boras and Gallo, had he taken that, you probably would have seen him in a Rangers uniform till about now or maybe next year. I definitely feel bad for Joey Gallo. Look, he's made a nice chunk of money in the game. I don't think we can cry for him too much. We'll see how he turns out as a pitcher. I saw MLB posted a video of him doing a bullpen. Joey Gallo did pitch in high school. Joey Gallo, by the way, Las Vegas native. He went to Bishop Gorman High School out here. Really, really elite baseball program at Bishop Gorman here in Vegas. And he pitched there. So I wasn't surprised that he decides to become a pitcher. I don't know how it's going to go for him, but I wish him nothing but the best. Keep going. We do have a couple of extra starters. I do think a guy like Jon Gray potentially is going to be on the trade block. First of all, you free up salary. Jon Gray making about $13 million a year. You could trade a Jon Gray, and it would free up room for maybe going out and getting a bat. I know I've talked about multiple times when we throw around, who could we go out and get for an offensive boost? You almost have to trade Jon Gray if you're going to get anyone of value. You want to go get Osuna if the Braves continue to scuffle. You want to go and get Bichette. You want to go and get Arenado. I know some of y'all are talking about Arenado right now. You're going to have to trade Jon Gray. I almost feel like it's a foregone conclusion. The dude is making $13 million. And then I think Leote is probably gone as well. That's another $5 or $6 million right there, which gives you some wiggle room if you wanted to go get a big name. We'll see what happens. I would be a fan of going and getting Nolan Aronado. I don't care that Josh Young is the third baseman. Nolan Aronado is a clutch bat, and he has control. And I think at this point, you don't get too, I don't know what the right word is. I feel like I brought up Nolan Arenado, and people are kind of turning their nose up a little bit at some of these players. I think at some point, you've got to acknowledge we've got to go get somebody. We've got to go get somebody. I don't think that you can totally just count on seeing a game like today. Oh, yeah, they'll be fine. I think we all know better. We all watched 2024. The Rangers need somebody. They need somebody. They need another person outside the organization to come in. I'm not counting on Evan Carter to come in and light it on fire. I'm not counting on Adolis Garcia to suddenly figure it out mid-year. If it happens, I'd love to eat crow. I would love to be so wrong, but I'm just not counting on it. I would 100% love to see the Rangers go take a big swing on a bat, pun intended. Go take a big swing, and I want to see somebody get brought in from outside the organization. A consistent hitter, Adam, exactly. And so, like, some Rangers fans, not a lot of y'all, I mean, some people I know don't love every trade idea that I throw out, but I just feel like there's a lot of, like, pickiness among who we would go out and get for a bat. Really? At this point, like, a number of guys would be an upgrade. If you don't like Nolan Arenado, throw somebody else out. But I don't think we can turn our nose up at some of these bats that are available. all in the name of hanging on to prospects. This team has a short window, guys. They do. Unless we get Walcott, Osuna, and those guys popping pretty immediately, you're going to run out of time with Jacob deGrom and Nate Eovaldi and some of these older arms and some of these older players. You've got to maximize this window. And so if you got to trade a few prospects to make it happen, so be it. Now, personally, I will say this for anybody hesitant about dealing prospects. If we do deal prospects, I'd like it to be for an everyday player. Gary, I don't know if you're hanging out. Gary's one of our longtime viewers, listeners, and he's made the point. A relief pitcher isn't an everyday guy, only pitches one inning. It only goes so far, and I'm kind of with him. If you're going to give up a top prospect like Osuna or Rosario, I want it to almost be for a guy who's going to play every day and be in the lineup. That's not to say you can't give up anybody of value for a Ryan Helsley type, an arm that is going to be involved in high leverage situations at the end of games. But if you're going to give up a top prospect like Osuna, you would almost love to just get an everyday player back instead, not just get a guy that's only going to throw if you happen to have a 1, 2, 3 run lead. We'll keep going. Let me see what else. TikTok, I'm going to come over to you. A couple of y'all, Nick, appreciate the comment. And then Luke, appreciate the comment as well. A couple of y'all are asking about Luis Robert. The only thing with Luis Robert, last week I looked up his stats, and he was hitting below 200. And so I didn't include Luis Robert for that reason. So as of today, he's hitting 182, 5 homers, 14 RBI. I don't love that. We've got a lot of 182 type hitters right now. So the only reason I didn't include Luis Robert when I did the video last week about who the Rangers could go out and get, it was because he was hitting like 175 at the time. And I'm like, I don't think the Rangers need to take a chance on the 175 hitter at this point. So I don't know. Rosario, I think he did, but I think there's enough upside, Mike, where you could definitely include him, and I think somebody would be willing to take a flyer on him, especially because so many guys have come back from Tommy John surgery and still been quality arms. So I think there's an argument to be made, even with Rosario and the Tommy John, that you are going to be able to rehab him and he'll be able to come back just fine. I think it's becoming more and more rare that guys have Tommy John and come back and just are never the same. Look at deGrom, right? He's had 2 arm surgeries, and he's come back and largely looked like his former self. I mean, you could make an argument it's going a little bit shaky at the beginning of 2025, but I think deGrom looks pretty dang good right now after 2 Tommy Johns. So, Mike, it's a fair point, but I do think that teams would still be willing to take Rosario in a package, knowing the upside, knowing how well recoveries are going in general in the sport from Tommy John surgery. So that would be my thing with Robert from the White Sox, is he is not hitting great this year, and you've already got hitters that aren't hitting great in the lineup. Do you really want to take a flyer on Luis Robert? You've already got guys hitting under 200. So that's why I gravitated towards Arenado, Ozuna, and then Bichette, because they're all actually hitting well this season. Arenado is older. He's definitely older, but Arenado fits well within the timeline. That's another thing I like about Arenado. I believe he's got like 2 or 3 years left on this Cardinals deal. So that lines up great with guys like deGrom and Evo. And so if you needed to do a complete reset in 2 or 3 years, Arenado's coming off the books if you go out and get him. And then you've got Evo and deGrom coming off the books in about the same amount of time. So that is my point about Arenado, because, Natalie, you're not the only one that's brought that up. Like, he's an older player, but he's on the right timeline with some of the other older players we have. I mean, Marcus Semien, I know, is still 4 years away, but more with deGrom and Evo, guys that are 2-3 years left on their deals. That's what Arenado would be. And so, I mean, look, I like that. Brendan Donovan, Andy, I've talked about Brendan Donovan. He would be a guy I would love to have. I actually wonder, would Brendan Donovan cost more to get than Arenado at this point? I think that would be really interesting. That would be really, really interesting to me. Mike, I'm not out on Josh Young. That's a fair question. The question, by the way, for everybody on TikTok is, am I out on Josh Young? I think what I would like to see is just go get a bat, right? Go get a bat and figure it out later. I mean, I think in that scenario, Mike Arenado probably plays third and DHs, and Josh Young does the same thing. You kind of alternate DHing with Josh Young and Arenado. Somebody else, I don't know who it was, so I don't want to steal this idea. Somebody else threw this out there. Maybe you convert Josh Young to a first baseman and you start having him take reps down there. I mean, why not? I think there are creative ways you can keep Josh Young and Nolan Arenado in the lineup together. I'm not saying it's the best, or I'm not saying it's the greatest alternative, but I think with Josh Young, you can still have him play third some days. You could maybe have him get reps at first base. I think that there are a number of different creative ways you could still have Arenado and Josh Young in the same lineup. But at this point, I'm just kind of like, get a bat in the lineup and see what happens. I almost wonder, Luke, bringing up the Burger timeline, I don't think Burger's going to be down for very long. And I wonder in that scenario, do you think about flipping a Burger type? Right? Do you think about flipping a Burger? I got all these puns going on today. It's just happened naturally. It's just that good coming off the tongue, guys. Do you think about flipping a Burger? And maybe then in that scenario, you've got first base open. A lot of y'all have talked about Seager to first base. I do kind of wonder, is Burger going to be flipped at some point? Or do they think Burger is the long-term guy down there? That would be my big question. If I could pick CY's brain, I really do wonder, do they see Jake Burger as a long-term option, or do they see him a little bit as a temporary solution? That's my big question right now. I know Burger is down in AAA, and it's just a reset, and I like Jake Burger as a player, but I kind of wonder if the right scenario came along, would they flip Jake Burger for something else? We'll see. You would be shocked. Mike says, I'd be shocked if they gave up on the Burger experiment. I do think that Burger's going to have a fairly long runway. And I'm not worried about Jake Burger. I think it's good that he's going down to get a reset in AAA. I hope he comes back and mashes. So I'm not out on Jake Burger either. I'm just kind of throwing it out there. If they were to go out and get another corner infielder like Arenado, would you then maybe consider Burger a little bit expendable? DFA Taveras, I think that is an option. If they can't find a trade partner for Taveras, I don't think Leote's going to be up much sooner. You got too many outfielders. I already think they have too many outfielders. You've got Wyatt Langford. You've got Josh Smith now, basically as an outfielder. And you've got Adolis Garcia. You've got 3 starting outfielders. And then you've got 3 outfielders on the bench. 4 if you count Jock Peterson. There's way too many outfielders right now. I'm not a fan of carrying so many. I think somebody's got to get traded or dumped. But you've got Leote, Pilar, and Harris and Peterson, all outfield types outside of those starting 3 that I just told y'all. So I think that somebody's got to get dealt or somebody's got to get DFA'd. And I think Leote probably is going to be the first one out. Ahmed is already gone. In fact, Ahmed got DFA'd and he opted for free agency. He rejected the assignment to AAA. So Ahmed is totally out of the organization. Andy says, hear me out. Get Abrams, shortstop, right? And bring back Nate Lowe. Some of y'all love Nate Lowe, and I love Nate Lowe too, but I think the Nate Lowe ship has sailed in Arlington. I don't think they're trying to get Nate Lowe back in any kind of deal. Ahmed, I don't think Ahmed would be a guy that would really be in anybody's long-term plans. That's why nobody picked him up when they DFA'd him. I don't think anybody was saying bring Ahmed back. The comment was actually to deal Ahmed, but nobody wants Ahmed. That's why he got DFA'd and nobody picked him up. He's got a great glove, but he can't hit. So we'll see what happens in the trade market. I think a lot of this right now, y'all, is just speculation. and it's probably going to be the exact opposite of what we're talking about that actually happens. There's probably some other name that's going to come along here in a month or two, depending on how all the results work out and which team is in the hunt and which team is kind of out of it. So we'll see, but it's fun to talk about. It really is. Today's game, though, we'll go ahead and we'll lock it back into the box score, go through the rest of it, and then after we wrap up this game, I'll go back and I'll talk about anything y'all want to. We'll take more questions and comments. Andy, by the way, everybody's welcome. We get fans from all teams hanging out, depending on the series, and y'all are great. Look, if you like talking baseball, you're in the right place. Clearly, you see what kind of show this is. We're talking Rangers, but we talk other teams as well. Here and there, big things going on around the game. And of course, we talk about the team that the Rangers are playing. So anybody's welcome. A lot of y'all Mariners fans hanging out with us over the last few days. Appreciate y'all. Thanks for tuning in. Yeah, Philip, the thing is, though, with the luxury tax, you can trade some guys and you can still stay under the luxury tax. If you trade Jon Gray, that's $13 million freed up right there. And you trade a Leote, that's another $5 million. That's $18 million in salary. I mean, Arenado is $24 million a year, so you'd really have to get creative with Arenado. I don't think that is super realistic just because of the luxury tax. But if you traded Leote and Jon Gray, that would get you $18 million freed up right there. And Ozuna is $16.5 million. That would work. I think Ozuna is probably the most ideal bat we could get, just as a solid DH. Dude's hitting over 300 right now for the Braves. The only thing is the Braves might end up making a run, and if they're in the playoffs, they're not trading Ozuna at all. They're not trading him. Yes, I did see that Seager Willie Mays catch. That was awesome. That was awesome, for sure. Mike, I saw this too. I don't know why the Rangers didn't take anybody up on Leote trade offers. I know that we talked about that on the show. There was a couple of reports that there were teams very interested in Leote Taveras, which again, and I said it a couple of weeks ago when we talked about this, that tells me the organization really believes in him. And that's why I made the joke. Find you somebody that loves you like the Rangers love Leote Taveras. Because if there were teams really interested in him and you knew all the outfield depth that you had and you still refused to deal Leote, I mean, at that point, I don't even care if you weren't getting that great of a deal. Like Mike said in the YouTube comment, it's way better than just DFAing him and getting nothing. At least you get something for him. So I do think that the organization really likes Leote. There's no other explanation. If there were multiple teams that were really interested in his services, even if you weren't getting the best deal, why wouldn't you do it? It's better than DFAing him and getting nothing in return. It just doesn't make sense to me because you had so much outfield depth coming into this year. Josh Smith, I mean, I think we can cut them a break. I don't think anybody had Josh Smith necessarily on the radar as an outfielder. They would have worked that a lot more in spring training if that was the case. Josh Smith kind of forced their hand a little bit with how well he played. So I don't think they anticipated the Josh Smith 300 plus hitting. But nevertheless, you had Doley, you had Wyatt Langford, you had Evan Carter. You knew Dustin Harris was in the minor leagues, probably knocking at the door. You know that you've got Osuna down in Double-A coming up. You then went out and got Kevin Pillar. Like, all of these things, as I'm stacking them up, there's no other explanation for keeping Leote beyond the organization really believes in him. Mike, I'm with you. I do kind of feel like it's Mazara 2.0. And Mazara, he had some nice games. I'll never forget Mazara's monster smash at the old Globe Life ballpark in Arlington is always what I'm going to call it, y'all. So at the old ballpark, I don't know if I've ever seen a ball hit further. Was that the record, Mazara smash, for any of y'all that remember that one, where he hit it to the upper deck, that upper porch? I don't think I've ever seen a ball hit that far. 503 feet. Yeah, it was a bomb. It was a bomb. So I'll always appreciate some of Mazara's big moments, But I do kind of think like it's a pretty fair comp. Like you get flashes of excellence from Leote, just like you did from Nomar Mazara. And at the end of the day, though, the consistency just wasn't there. You would get really good stretches for a week, and then you'd get 2 or 3 weeks of meh to ugh. And then you would eventually be thinking about other guys that could replace him. That was a Ballpark in Arlington record. I wonder what the all-time Rangers record is for longest home run. What's better than 503 feet? I wonder who has the record for longest Rangers home run of all time. I want to look that up almost on the fly. Unless one of y'all know it offhand, I'm going to try and look it up right now. Longest Texas Rangers home run of all time. It's Nomar Mazara, according to AI. 505-foot home run against Ronaldo Lopez of the White Sox in 2019. Okay. 505 feet. That's crazy. Josh Hamilton apparently had the record before Mazara, 490 feet. So Mazara's got the longest home run in Rangers history. All right, we keep going. Good win. I agree. JK, good win for sure. Jax, thanks for the comment. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I mean, unless AI is tricking me here, I think Nomar Mazara's blast longest home run in Texas Rangers history. You would have thought it would have been like Gallow, but apparently not. I still remember a game that I went to. Some of you guys who watch a lot of Rangers baseball might remember this one. Do you guys remember Joey Gallo's home run in Angel Stadium that went all the way, like was up at the top of that green hill that they've got in center field? Y'all remember that one? I was at that game where Joey Gallo hit that home run. I go to a bunch of Angels games. We go to Padres games when they're out here on the West Coast. It's a lot of fun. I remember I was live watching that home run. Joey Gallo hit it all the way up that green hill in center field at Angel Stadium. That one felt like it could have been up there for longest home runs in Rangers history. That one was a bomb, man. I still remember watching that. Like, I've never seen anybody hit a home run further in Angel Stadium, and I've been to a lot of games at Angel Stadium since living out here. Anyways, man, good reminiscing, though. Shoot, even though Nomar Mazara Gallo didn't work out, great memories. Great memories. Wangan was absolutely a beast. Texas Repo, thanks for hanging out, man. Wangan was absolutely beastly for the Rangers. Loved Juan Gonzalez. Is that Astros game out of delay, by the way, Texas Repo? Did you come to kill a little bit of time on the rain delay or whatever kind of delay it is? Appreciate you hanging out, by the way, brother. Good to see you. MLB.com. What do we got for this rain delay? Are we back? Still in a delay in the bottom of the 7th inning. Maybe they'll call that game for the White Sox favor. Maybe they'll end up calling that one. Delayed game right now. Astros down 5-4 in the bottom of the 7th. And it looks like they just ended the top of the 7th. The Astros grounded into a double play. So it's bottom of the 7th. White Sox would be up when the delay resumes. It is a tight game, and it's still early in the day, so I wonder if they'll end up trying to get that one played out. They don't love to cancel the one-run games, understandably so. I mean, look, being totally selfish and greedy, I'd love if they did, not even going to lie, but I don't think they will. One-run games late like that, they usually like to try and play it out. If the Rangers go 3-3 on this next road trip, that would be good. Let me see where we're at with the schedule right now. And I know we still haven't quite put a bow on the game from today, but at this point, we're just hanging out, enjoying the win today, and it was a great win for Texas. So we'll talk about a little bit of everything as we wrap up the show. And we've only 45 minutes. We got plenty of time right now. I've been averaging about an hour 15, hour 20 for every show. Some of y'all hang out the entire time. I love it, man. You guys, I'm humbled. I'm grateful for all the support that you're giving me and the channel. It really means a lot to me. So I want to say thank you to everybody that's followed since the live's been going on, everybody that's liked, the live, everybody that shared it. I see a couple of y'all have shared it with some of your friends as it's been going down. I appreciate it so much. I'm always going to say that multiple times, and I mean it with all my heart. So Tuesday is when the Rangers play again. They're going to Boston, doing a little East Coast road trip. Friday, they will head to Detroit. So we got a little Boston and Detroit road trip coming up. Then the Rockies will come back on Monday, May 12th for a little three-game set. Three-game set, looks like. And then after the Rockies, the Astros will come to Arlington for the Silver Boot. So we got Red Sox, Tigers, Rockies, Stros. And that'll be a really fun weekend series, man. Astros right now, Rangers have played a few more games than the Stros have. Rangers are at 17 and 18. Stros are at 17 and 15, pending the result from today. There's some good series, some fun series coming up. Red Sox, Rangers, I always love. I know I don't really have a great explanation. I just love the Red Sox Rangers series. It's always been one of my favorites. The Tigers Rangers series, we'll take it. Rockies Rangers, I'm a little afraid of. I'm not going to lie. I still have PTSD from last year against the Rockies when we went to Coors Field and got swept. So I'm not holding my breath. I'd like to think the Rangers can beat up on the Rockies at home, but I'm not going to hold my breath. I'm just going to take it one game at a time and not get too far ahead of myself. But it'll be fun, that Stros series, in a couple of weekends from now. That's the one I know a lot of people are going to have circled. Hopefully, Rangers fans can get out in droves. We don't need Astros fans hogging seats at Globe Life. Come on now, Rangers Nation. Y'all got to buy some tickets for that Astros series. We keep going. As a shocked Mariners fan, I feel the Rangers are the more talented team. Look, I think the Mariners have a really good squad. I don't want to sit here and be a homer. I actually think the talent is fairly even. I would probably give the Rangers a very, very small nod. And that's just because they have a little bit more big name power, both pitching wise and in the lineup. That being said, the results on the field, the Mariners are getting it done right now and the Rangers aren't. They get the win today, but if the Rangers are ahead talent wise, I don't think the gap is that big between Seattle and Texas. I think that it's actually a little bit closer than you think. I like some of Seattle's young guys. I like Julio Rodriguez. A Rosarina has been a little up and down over the past couple of seasons, but I like a Rosarina. Cal Raleigh. I think Cal Raleigh is a great player. There's a number of different players on the Mariners that are still up and coming. I mean, J.P. Crawford was one of the most highly touted prospects in his class. He's got talent. So I think the Mariners have got a good squad. The biggest question mark with them was the offense, right? Could they put it together offensively? And I think you've seen them start to do that, although they did get off to a little bit of a slow start themselves. It's been clicking better, though, over the past couple of weeks. Today was a little bit of a tough go. You had Jacob deGrom, and then the bullpen pitched really well also. Mike, good point. I do think that the schedule is going to ease up. I've told y'all, Rangers and the Astros are top two in the American League for toughest strength of schedule. I'll see if I can pull up MLB, ESPN, Power. I think it's relative power index or something like that. Let me see if I can pull this up and see how it's been adjusted. They don't update this in real time. They update it overnight, so it's not going to be perfectly accurate. But in terms of strength of schedule, the Texas Rangers have the toughest strength of schedule in the American League and second toughest in all of baseball. Only the Cubs have played a tougher schedule than the Rangers have, according to ESPN RPI, which is relative power index. So the Mariners and the Astros are second and third, respectively, in the American League, but no team in the American League has had a tougher schedule than the Texas Rangers, according to ESPN's RPI. The Rangers right now, they're expected, by the way, I think this is all like positive glass half full stuff. So if you felt the vibes are maybe a little bit negative on the show of late, I want to inject some positivity here. So the expected win-loss for Texas based on their strength of schedule, 13-21. That's what ESPN projects our record should be based upon our team and our strength of schedule. So for the Rangers to be one game under 500 when the expected win-loss, according to the analytics, is 8 games under 500, it's pretty good. I think the Rangers really are needing to have a good perspective. Rangers fans being thankful we are where we are, considering the schedule that we played and the terrible, putrid offensive play for Texas as well over this stretch. Toughest schedule in the American League, second toughest in all of baseball. We keep going. We've been sacrificing the Rangers for the Stars. What a game. I texted my buddies this morning just to talk about Stars for a second here. That Rantanen goal, the wraparound, my brain is like still not computing that goal. What a crazy, awesome, sick goal from Rantanen on that wraparound. Like I said, my brain still can't figure out how that went in, how he got that to go. That's pure wizardry. Down 2-0 with 13 minutes to go in a playoff hockey game without any major penalties. I mean, that's almost a death sentence, right? I mean, I don't think there's a ton of teams that have come back down 2-0, season on the line, 13 minutes left, and win. And score 4 goals within those 13 minutes as well. The Stars, that's like an all-timer. That's legendary stuff right there. I really hope that the Stars take advantage of it. And I would love to see a Stars Golden Knights rematch in the Western Conference Finals, selfishly, because then I'm guaranteed to be able to cheer for the West in the Cup Finals, whether it's the Knights or the Stars. I will be very happy. Y'all know, definitely support the Vegas club out here. Stars are my boyhood team, my childhood team, but definitely would love to see both of them square off. It tugs at my heartstrings a little bit, but once the series is over, I know I can cheer for either one in the Cup Finals. So that's what I want to see. We'll keep going. Our amazing rotation, going back to Rangers, is 100% the reason why we're only one game under 500 right now. It's really kind of insane how good the starting pitching has been. Even Patrick Corbin. The only guys that have been somewhat of question marks, Kumar Rocker, who we know has gotten a little bit of time off. And then you also have seen Jack Leiter struggle a little bit too. I do think the glass half full, continuing on with that theme today, the glass half full on Jack Leiter, and I mentioned this already, he pitched against 2 of the best teams in baseball his last 2 starts, the Giants and the Mariners. So if you consider that Jack Leiter has faced really good competition his past 2 starts, I do think that that helps put it in perspective. Maybe we see him bounce back. His next start's going to be against the Red Sox. That's not an easy team to bounce back against. And now that Rafael Devers is in a little bit of a groove, I mean, I think he had like 1,000 OPS over the last month, pretty good. Rafael Devers was pretty terrible in the opening series against the Rangers. He's found his stride. He's found his groove. So you got Bregman hitting well. You got Devers hitting well. A number of different quality bats in that lineup. It's not necessarily a great team for Jack Leiter to get back on track against. Now, maybe when he starts against the Rockies, because I don't know if he'll end up starting against the Tigers again, or if he'll get pushed to the Rockies series. The Rockies series, that might be a good team for him to get back on track against. I don't know if he'll end up pitching in the very back half of that Tigers series, or if he's going to end up getting pushed to Monday against the Rockies. We'll see. By the way, when I say Monday against the Rockies, week from now, 8 days from now. Keep going. Appreciate all y'all. Is it naive to say the starting pitching will regress? KK, it's a great question. And a lot of people have kind of thrown that out there at different times. And I'm not saying you are. I think you're just asking the question genuinely. I've wondered that too, but I just think to myself, Evo, deGrom, even Malley. Malley was an opening day starter. Malley was a very quality starter when he was with the Reds, when he was with the Twins before the injury. I don't think those three guys are going to regress a whole lot. Now, are they going to have their bad starts here and there? Yes. Could Patrick Corbin potentially regress a little bit? I think Corbin might be a bit more of a candidate in that area, but I really think deGrom, Evo, Malley, I think those guys are going to be good throughout 2025. It would really surprise me if one of those guys took a deep dive. And when you've got 3 of your 5 starters that are of that high quality, I think that it's safe to say that the pitching probably isn't going to regress a lot. And when you look at the bullpen was great today. Jacob Webb, one of his best outings of the season. And then you had Hobie Milner doing his thing. Like maybe the bullpen guys regress a little bit, but I don't think the starting pitching is going to regress that much. Mike, I saw this too. Kennedy Landry, one of the Rangers beat writers, posted about this. deGrom hit 1,700 Ks faster than any pitcher since 1901. So that is a crazy stat. And what I want to throw out there with that stat, consider 2 things. First of all, what I've been telling you guys all along. If you can watch Jacob deGrom pitch in person, if you live in the DFW area and deGrom is making a start and you are a true fan of the game and the team, and I know obviously we have constraints with family, work, money, all that stuff. If you can go watch this man pitch, watch him as many times as you possibly can. I think he's going to go down as one of the greatest pitchers of all time. And I hope that he can get a ring added to the resume where he actually pitched in the World Series. He's a World Series champion. Nobody's taking that away from him, but y'all know what I mean. Jacob deGrom didn't pitch in the postseason when the Rangers won the World Series. I would love for him to get a ring with Texas where he actually pitches in the World Series. I'm not taking away the ring from him, but y'all know what I mean. It would be that much more impressive. He's already going to be a Hall of Famer. No pitcher has reached 1,700 Ks faster since 1901. Wow. That's incredible. That is an incredible stat. Who's a guy in Round Rock that I think who is underrated? There's a couple of guys that have had my attention in Round Rock. I'm going to pull up the numbers on some of these guys so y'all can hear it. So today, by the way, before I get into that, let me get into Round Rock today and what they're up to. So Round Rock won 13-0 today. Zeke Durant is freaking killing it in Round Rock right now. He's had some crazy stat lines. He was 2 for 5 today. Dude's hitting 340 with a 1009 OPS. I mean, Zeke, I hate to say it. He had a home run today as well. Zeke is one of those, I think, quadruple A guys. He's going to kill it in AAA. He's too good for AAA, but he's not good enough to be an everyday major league starter. But Zeke Durant is just too good for AAA. What I think the Rangers actually should do, this is what I would do if I was Chris Young with Zeke Durant. Keep him in AAA till the trade deadline. Trade him at the trade deadline. Zeke Durant has no path for playing time as a Texas Ranger. There is zero path. You've got Seager and you've got Marcus Semien, and then you've got Sebastian Walcott ahead of you. I don't think Walcott is going to be starting in the near future, but long-term, Walcott's going to be a starter. So for me, I think that you have to have Zeke Durant traded at the deadline. I'd keep him in AAA, let him pad the stats. You can point to how hot he is in AAA. Some team's going to be willing to take a flyer on him. I would keep him down in AAA, and I'd trade him at the deadline. In fact, y'all might remember last year with Zeke Durant, right before the trade deadline, Zeke Durant had a week where he hit like 6 home runs in a row. Like it was like back-to-back games, like 6 home runs in 6 games. It was right before the trade deadline. And I said to y'all then, I'm like, we got to trade him. His value's never going to be higher. And maybe it'll get a little bit higher, continuing to rake down in AAA right now. I would not bring him back up to the big leagues and expose him. I'd keep him down in AAA, let him get hot down there, point to the outstanding numbers. He's hitting home runs. You can sell other teams on the success in AAA, and somebody I would think would be willing to take a flyer on him. That would be what I would do with Zeke. I do think that Zeke could be a decent everyday player. I don't think he's going to be a Hall of Famer, but he just doesn't have a chance here. You've got Seager, Simeon, you've got Josh Smith. Josh Smith is going to get starts over Zeke Durant at shortstop, at second base, at third base. Then you bring up Walcott next year probably. Zeke Durant has no path to play every day for the Rangers. Trade him. I just don't understand why they didn't last year. And if they don't trade him this year, I will really be at a loss for words. Why do they continue to hang on to this guy? It's nothing personal. Would I bring up Evan Carter? I would send down Leote and I would bring up Evan Carter. Something tells me they're going to send down Dustin Harris to bring up Evan Carter, though, which I know some of y'all don't want to hear that, and I don't want to hear it either. But I have a feeling that they're going to send down Dustin Harris and bring up Evan Carter. And I think we're going to see Evan Carter within the next week. Everything that I've been reading is pointing towards Evan Carter's return coming sooner rather than later. I think we're going to see EC back in a Rangers uni probably by the end of next week. I don't think they're going to wait a whole lot longer to bring him up. And it's just not going to surprise me if they send down Dustin Harris. I hope it's Leote, but I'm just not going to be shocked. Like we talked about, this organization really likes Leote. I know that he's been a little bit more under fire of late, but I just kind of think that it's going to end up being Dustin Harris. I'm glad that he got the start the other day. Leote is out of options, Mike, but I think that what's going to happen is they'll DFA him, and I don't think that anybody's going to pick him up. Maybe I'm wrong on that too, but I don't know who wants to pick up Leote and pay him $5 million, because whoever picks up Leote after the DFA has to pay him $5 million. I don't think there's a lot of teams out there that want to pay Leote Taveras $5 million. I'm with you, JK. Package Leote and Durant together, maybe a prospect or two, and you've got a couple major league ready players, and then you've got a couple of prospects in the mix. I think that'd be great. So, Mike, you're right. They can't outright him to AAA, but I think he's going to clear waivers after the DFA, and then you're going to have him down in AAA. I don't think Leote is going to want to accept free agency, because that's the other thing. If they DFA Leote and he clears waivers, they'll want to send him to AAA. Leote can reject the assignment to AAA, but then he loses the salary. Nobody is going to pay him $5 million a year in free agency. So I think Leote would probably accept the assignment to AAA if he cleared waivers. Maybe there's a team that wants to pay him $5 million and pay the rest of the salary. I guess technically by the point that they DFA him, it would probably only be a $3 or $4 million salary that they'd have to pay out the rest of. So I'm hopeful that it's the Leote move, but I just have a feeling it's going to be Dustin Harris. All right, let me get back to AAA here, because that was the original question. Like, who do I like from AAA? And I think there's a few guys that you can look at that are doing quite well down at AAA. A guy who I think is also a little bit blocked right now is Cody Freeman. I've had my eye on Cody Freeman for a while, and I've actually watched a few Round Rock games, and I like his swing. He's a little bit undersized. I think he's only like 5'7" or 5'8", so he's a little undersized. But look, dude's got a good bat. He's hitting .313, 834 OPS. Had a nice game today, I believe. He was, 2 for 5, and he had a double. Like, Cody Freeman definitely is a guy that has my attention, no doubt. I think that he has done very, very well this year. I know that there's a little bit of noise on Halver. Halver was another guy that got traded from the Yankees to the Rangers in the Gallow trade, talking about Trevor Halver. And he definitely had a nice year, I think, last year. but he's only hitting 243 this year. Numbers are a little bit down. Actually, I take it back. Last year, it was a couple of years ago in Frisco that he had a decent year. He had like a 375 OBP in Frisco. He didn't have a great year last year. Look, actually, I take it back. A little bit above average here, almost an 800 OPS last year for Trevor Hauver. So those are probably the two guys in the lineup. I really like Freeman. I really like Hauver, those two guys. Undersized, yeah, a little bit. I know baseball, we don't think about it that way, but I don't know. Like, you're getting to be 5'6", 5'7", 5'8", whatever he is. I don't know. I know baseball maybe size and how big somebody is doesn't matter so much. I don't know. For me, I'd much rather have an Aaron Judge type than a Jose Altuve type. That's just me. So I don't know. Y'all agree to disagree on that one, but I do look at things like that. And I would much rather have some of the guys that are a little bit more well-built. But, hey, you know what? If you can hit the ball and send it out of the ballpark, it really doesn't matter at some point. That's the beautiful thing about baseball. It really is. But if you're going to ask me, do I want the 6'2", 200 dude, or do I want the 5'7", $170 dude, and they can both hit just about the same? I think I'll take the bigger guy. That's just me. Look. Agree to disagree. We'll keep going though. I want to see what else we can pick apart. By the way, they just called the Astros game 5-4 final, 7 innings. I think we can all get on board with that. Astros lose 5-4. Game gets called after 7. I was wrong. I really thought they were going to try and finish out that game. I really thought they were going to finish that one out. But Astros lose 5-4. The game gets called after 7 innings. Thank you, MLB. Thank you. I'm shocked. I really thought they would want to make sure that game got all the way played. Mike, who are you talking about? Leote? I don't think you want to pay Leote $5 million to play in AAA either. I would prefer a trade. I would definitely prefer a trade there 100%. We keep going. Yeah, Bo, I'm a little bit shocked too. I did not think they were going to call that game 5-4, 1-run game with 3 innings left. Well, technically 2 at-bats left for the Astros, but still. And CJ, I'm with you. Always a great day when the Rangers win and the Astros lose. It's better. It's nearly a perfect day when the Astros lose and the Rangers win. Absolutely, my friend. Thank you. Mike, yeah, Leote, I would much rather see the trade. 100% would much rather see that trade. Let me keep going here, y'all. So let's talk about the series coming up with Boston. Let's talk about who's going to be starting. Tuesday is going to be Evo. Wednesday is going to be Malley. Thursday is going to be Leiter. So we will see Leiter in the Rockies series. So I know I said there was going to be a little bit of question mark there. Would he pitch against the Red Sox or would he pitch against the Tigers? It's going to be against the Rockies for his next time out. So we've got Evo, Malley, Leiter coming up in the Red Sox series. Let's preview the the Evo start. Let's see on Tuesday how Boston has hit against Evo. And then Rangers are going to be going up against Lucas Giolito. Big-time prospect coming up through the White Sox organization. Bounced around a little bit with the Red Sox now. So here are the numbers. Boston against Evo. Wilyer Abreu, of course, 3 for 4 with 2 homers. Well, you got to stay away from Wilyer Abreu. Like, please. Let's stay away from Wilyer Abreu. He's 3 for 4 with 2 bombs against Evo. Bregman is, 3 or 4 for 18 with a home run, 222 average. Campbell, the rookie, 0 for 2. Devers, 2 for 11 in his career, 182 average. Jarren Duran, 2 for 6 with a home run. Rafaela, 0 for 4. Ref Snyder, 0 for 3. Trevor Story, 1 for 5 with a home run. And then Wong, the catcher, is 4 for 9. So a lot of mixed results there. You've got Devers and Bregman with the most at bats against Evo, and both those guys have not hit Evo that great. On the other side, Adolis Garcia looks like is 2 for 12 with a home run against Giolito. You got Jonah Heim 0 for 9 against Giolito. Peterson 3 for 6 in his career, hitting 500. Corey Seager 3 for 10 with a home run against Lucas Giolito, probable starter for the Red Sox for Tuesday. Marcus Semien looks like is 6 for 20, hitting 300. Josh Smith 0 for 2, and Leody Taveras 1 for 2. That's all we got. Everybody else, Josh Young, Wyatt Langford, Dustin Harris, Blaine Krim, none of them have got any at-bats or plate appearances against Lucas Giolito. Blaine Krim, by the way, still looking for that first hit. I was really hoping he was going to find it in this series, but look, we all know Jake Berger wasn't the problem. Jake Berger was not the problem. He was a part of it, but he was not the problem in Arlington. Blaine Krim, I'm glad he's getting his opportunity. He's real green. You can't come down on Blaine Krim. He needs a runway to figure it out. I don't know if he's going to get it if he doesn't hit, though. I think you're probably just going to see a Berger Krim flip-flop. I thought maybe there was a world where they'd keep Blaine Krim up and then they would have Berger come back up for somebody else, but I think if Blaine Krim does not catch even a little bit of fire, you're probably just going to see a straight up flip-flop Berger and Krim. I can't really foresee a whole lot of other situations. I do agree Evo Splitty is the X factor against Boston. That split finger pitch is nasty. I definitely think that Evo is probably going to have a fair amount of success on Tuesday. He usually pitches well against his former teams, the Yankees, the Red Sox. Y'all remember a couple of years ago, he had that complete game shutout against the Yankees. Feels like Evo always pitches pretty well against his former teams. Marlins, y'all remember that Marlins stint Evo had, right? Marlins, Yankees, Red Sox. Feels like he always pitches pretty well against all those teams. Yeah, I definitely am rooting for Krim too, Mike. 100%. 100%. I don't know how long Krim is going to stay up. He did get on base a couple of times. Absolutely. He got hit, right? And then he took a walk. I think I got that correct. So totally got to acknowledge he's been on base. Still looking for that first hit. I think my point is if Krim wants to stick around, right? If Krim wants to stay on the big league level, dude's going to have to impress. He's going to have to open up some eyes. And you know what? Getting on base a couple of times is great. Dude's going to have to hit and contribute meaningfully to really stick up. I think otherwise they're just going to do a Krim Berger swap and call it a day. Like I said, I thought maybe if he had a hot start to his MLB career, he might be able to stay up and be depth. But I don't know if that's going to happen if he doesn't start hitting. Would Krim and Berger split time at first? The only reason I say no is because they're both righties. Like if you had kind of a righty lefty situation, maybe I would say yes. But the fact that they're both right-handed first basemen, unless Krim is really hitting well, I think eventually he's probably going to get sent back down and Berger will be back up. Krim would have to start tearing the cover off the ball. And at that point, maybe you start DHing him. But then you still got the Jock Peterson thing. Like if Jock Peterson is going to continue to have quality at bats, I just don't think the Rangers are going to sit Jock Peterson. So that DH spot really isn't open. The only thing is you could technically against the lefty starter have Blaine Krim or Jake Berger be the DH because you're not going to start Jock Peterson against a lefty starter and the DH spot, right? So that would be about the only other circumstance. Jock is unlucky, Andy. I mean, that's a good point. Jock has been unlucky, almost hit a home run today. I think that Krim, he wasn't on the 40-man. I feel like they've got to keep him on the 40-man, Mike, don't you think? I feel like that would be a little drastic to DFA Krim just to get him off the 40-man. I would think there would be a team that would probably take a flyer on him. You're not going to have to pay him much, and he's hit pretty much at every spot. I don't think the Rangers are going to be super flippant with that. So another reason maybe you see Leote DFA'd to make room on the 40-man if you're calling somebody else off. But look, they could flip-flop like Krim and Carter. That would be easy. You could send down Krim, send up Carter. You could do the same thing with Dustin Harris. He's on the 40-man. So they've got some options. I don't think they're going to DFA him at all. Jock Peterson needs to go away. I don't think that's happening, y'all. I don't think that that's happening. But Jock is not off to a great start. He's been hitting better, but he's not off to a great start. I think that's obvious. All right, so let's recap. Great start from deGrom. Not his best. Good enough to win. And you know what? The Seattle Mariners offense, it's hot right now. deGrom cooled him off as best as he can. Got into a little bit of a sticky situation there in the top of the third inning. Figured it out. Josh Smith, 4 hits. Corey Seager, big impact on the lineup from the 3-hole. Let's give Smith, Langford, Seager 1, 2, 3 punch a little bit of time. Maybe it ends up making a difference. Maybe the Rangers just go back to what they've been doing the past week or 2 or 3 weeks, however long back this slump goes, beginning of the season. Shoot. But I like the 1, 2, 3 punch of Smith, Langford, and Seager, and I do think it's going to make a difference. Now, if you can just get Jock Peterson hitting, to have a hot Jock Peterson protecting Corey Seager would be everything. Because then you're not going to want to just work around Corey to get to a lesser hitter. If Jock Peterson is hitting well, you are going to want to be competitive in the way that you pitch Corey Seager. You got somebody behind Corey that's not really going that great. It's going to be extremely tempting to just walk Corey Seager, to not give him anything to hit. Look, Bo, I think he's had some good swings of late. Like there were a couple of swings today that were ugly. Like he had a fly out today, and the swing was like this weird check defensive yuck swing. But then he almost hit the home run. I was watching the replay of that while we were all chatting here. I mean, dude smoked that one. So definitely looked ugly on that fly out to center field. It was like this like weird defensive swing, like he was about to get hit. But I think that home run or near home run that he hit that just went foul, that gives you hope. That's all I'm saying. It gives you some hope. So Evo, and we have on the other side, Giolito going on Tuesday. Tomorrow's an off day. I'll probably work to put out 2 videos over the next couple of days. Put out something tonight, put out something tomorrow on the off day, and then Tuesday we'll be back for Right On Rangers Live after the game. That's kind of going to be the plan. I'll make sure I didn't forget anything in the comment section. Mike, yeah, I don't know. The comments get a little wild. The chat gets a little wild sometimes. So my bad. Lighter, definitely excited about him. I think that he's run into a couple of really good teams. And you know what? If he struggles against the Red Sox on the road and it's not like a quality start, it's not going to shock me either. He is still going to take some lumps against really good teams. And Giants, Mariners, Red Sox, going back to back to back against those quality opponents, I think you do have to keep a little bit of perspective. Rocker, for me, is definitely a guy I think that's going through what Leiter went through last year. I think that Rocker is going to need an up and down season. Maybe you send Rocker back to AAA to keep working on things. And then maybe next year he pops a little bit more. Maybe he can figure it out. Like Mike is saying, he just needs reps. Maybe he'll be able to figure it out up in the bigs. But when you get guys like John Gray and Cody Bradford coming back, Rocker's probably going to be the first one sent back down. And that wouldn't be the worst thing. He keeps getting reps. He keeps getting practice in AAA. And then you bring him back up again at a later time, whether that's when rosters expand or next year. Next year, you're going to have spaces open in the rotation, right? Tyler Malley's going to be a free agent. John Gray's going to be a free agent. You've got some spaces opening up in the starting rotation. deGrom will be around. Evo will be around. Obviously, Leiter will be around. Bradford, all those guys. But you've got a little bit more openings coming up here in 2026. So I do think even if they have to send Leiter down to AAA this year, not the end of the world. It kind of reminds me of Jack Leiter's 2024. You had some flashes in the pan of brilliance. You had a lot of kind of getting shelled, not commanding the strike zone very well. It's not going to surprise me if Rocker and Leiter go down similar paths with their progression in terms of minor leagues to major leagues to being a consistent quality starter. We'll see. Maybe, like I said, maybe Rocker can figure it out on the fly in the big leagues. I think he might just run out of time when the Rangers start getting some guys back healthy, like John Gray, like Cody Bradford. We'll see what happens. All right, y'all. I don't think I got a whole lot else. JJ, what's good, man? Yeah, the ranting in effect. Like I said, that wraparound goal is still blowing my mind. Seriously. The future for Sebastian Walcott, I think he's going to be a 2026 guy. Like, I think Osuna and I think Walcott have a legitimate shot to break in with the club next year. And some people might ask, well, what are you going to do with Walcott? Where is he going to play? I think you figure it out later. Maybe you have a temporary spot that Walcott plays while, Seager and Simeon continue to age up a little bit. But I feel like Walcott and Osuna are probably going to be 2026 guys. I think you'll see both of those guys make their debut. I would be really surprised if either of them debut this season. Like, even when you have the rosters expand, unless those guys are going to play every single day, I don't know if you call them up. Maybe you do, because I know the minor league season ends at a certain point in September. So maybe you do give them the call up just to get them a little bit of experience with the big league club. Now, is Walcott on the 40-man? That's my only question. I need to look at the 40-man right now. I don't have the 40-man memorized, y'all. I have a general rough idea, but let me see here. Ryland, sorry about that. Rangers salvaged at least one. At least we got one. Looks like Walcott is not on the 40-man. So to bring Walcott up, you'd have to make some kind of DFA move. He is not on the 40-man right now. You got Dustin Harris, obviously, on the 40-man, Evan Carter, Ornelas, Foscue, Duran, Berger. You got Cole Winn, Teodo's on the 40-man, Santos is on the 40-man. You got Curvello, Corniel, Church. All those guys are on the 40-man, but Walcott and Osuna are not on the 40-man. So to get those guys on the 40-man, you'd have to make some moves. That's why I say I feel like it's more likely it's going to be 2026. I'm stoked to get Bradford back as well, Mike. I hope he's not another injury-prone type, but he was really good last year. I was a little bit worried about his splits. I think I've mentioned to y'all multiple times. He was great at Globe Life, but Bradford really struggled on the road for whatever reason. The splits were crazy. It was like sub 2 ERA at Globe Life, but then Bradford on the road was like a 7+ ERA in the 4 or 5 starts he had on the road last year. Yeah, I agree with you, Mike. You don't really want to start the clock on Walcott or Osuna unless they are really going to be big contributors. So I think in September, it's mainly going to be guys that are already on the 40-man. Cole Winn, I got to say, I don't want to be a hater, but I do feel like Cole Winn is one of those quadruple A guys. I think he is going to be really good in AAA. I don't know if he's going to come up and do good things at the big league level. And it's kind of surprising to me. You had the opportunity to put Cole Winn in the bullpen at the beginning of this season, and you didn't do that. You instead went with Jacob Webb and Armstrong and all these guys. So I don't know what the club's confidence level is in Cole Winn. It's just kind of surprising to me that you go out and you get some of these older veteran types when you had a Cole Winn that you got to see in a big league uniform last year, all offseason, spring training, all that. I just feel like maybe the club just doesn't think he's quite there yet. So I know a couple of y'all on TikTok were talking about Cole Winn as well. I kind of wonder if the club is just a little bit down on him. It's going to be hard to keep him down if he continues to do what he's doing this year, which I don't know if he's given up a run in AAA yet. I don't know if Cole Winn has given up a run yet in AAA. It might get to a point where he's doing so well, you just can't keep him down anymore. But if I'm being real, it tells me a lot that they didn't give him a call up at any point. Like, you could have called up Cole Winn and you could have sent down Mark Church. They didn't do that. You could have easily called Cole Winn up in the Mark Church demotion. They didn't do that. So to me, that tells me they're not quite on Cole Winn's page with having him up as a contributor at the major league level. Maybe he continues to do as well as he's doing right now in AAA, and he'll force their hand. But I think the club's a little down on Cole Winn based on just some of the logical reasoning, piecing together the moves that they've made up to this point. We'll see what happens with him. 21 innings, no runs. It's impressive. Zach, totally. I have my questions whether or not it's going to translate at the big league level, but it's interesting to me that he's done so well and they still are holding him down there. Like, there's some guys that I feel like Cole Winn could probably come up and replace. The fact that they're not doing it tells me I don't know if they think he's ready, or I don't know if they think it's going to translate at the big league level. Good game today. Yes, sir, Justin. Mariners finally ran into a bit of a buzzsaw in Jacob deGrom. I think it was just a matter of getting deGrom. Seriously. deGrom, one of the best pitchers of all time. I think I told y'all at the beginning of this series, if it was going to be one game that the Rangers won, I thought it would be this one. You're throwing a guy who's only made one major league start in Evans. Rangers are throwing arguably one of the best pitchers, top 5 pitcher in baseball when healthy. I thought that the Rangers would get a win today. I didn't think they were going to score 8 runs, but I thought deGrom would pitch well. My prediction was Seager would have a big hit at some point. I got that part right. I thought deGrom would go 7 shutout innings. We didn't quite get that far, but great win today for Texas, 100%. Yeah, Evan should come up and play at the big league level. And I think he will. I think Evan Carter will be up within the next week. But I do think that it's only going to be so impactful when they're not playing him every day. I've been on the record with Evan Carter saying, why don't you play him every day? He was one of your top prospects he was your top prospect in 2023. Why would you be making a top prospect a platoon player? Makes no sense to me. I would give Evan Carter every opportunity, hit him at the bottom of the order and let him start every day and just let him figure it out. Give him a long runway. Like, it's not going to be worse than what we have right now out there, which is Leote and Dustin Harris. I don't think Evan Carter is going to do worse than those guys. And that's no disrespect to Dustin Harris. I like what I've seen from him so far. In fact, I wish Dustin would get more playing time. Y'all know I'm over Leote, but I don't think Evan Carter is going to do worse playing every day compared to those two players. I'd love to see Evan Carter get everyday playing time, even with the bad lefty splits. That's the only way you're going to develop him into an everyday player, if that's actually your goal. Maybe they're good with him just being a platoon guy. I would much rather see Evan Carter get to play every day, have a long runway, and see if we can't develop his skills against lefties throughout the process. I do kind of agree with this. Cole Winn probably would leave and go be an ace somewhere else if we got rid of him. It's just kind of how it goes sometimes. I do think, and I unfortunately, because there's no username, I'm not going to read it all off, but the comment says, and I appreciate the comment, Bud, by the way, will the Rangers send Rocker to AAA when he's healthy? I think that is probably the move. Now, you've got John Gray coming back in June. Cody Bradford's supposed to be back in June as well. Maybe he sticks with the big league club until then, and he would have to be outstanding, I think, for you to keep Rocker up over Gray. I think Gray, when he comes back, Rocker's probably going to be the first guy done. I think you roll with Patrick Corbin. I think he's shown you that he can be solid. They've worked on a few things with Corbin. They were talking about it yesterday, throwing the cutter a little bit more. And I think that they've unlocked a couple of things with Patrick. I'd like for them to keep Patrick Corbin in the rotation. He's got the experience. He's pitched in October. Not that Patrick Corbin's going to be big playoff starter for the Rangers, but you know what? He could be a guy that pitches for you in a game 4. I wouldn't mind throwing Patrick Corbin in a game 4 potentially. You go deGrom, Evo, Malley. That 4th starter, maybe you go John Gray. But why not Patrick Corbin? He's pitched in a World Series. Like, the guy's got October experience. So I really wouldn't mind seeing Corbin stick around. I wouldn't mind it at all. Yeah, Hans Kraus, maybe Cole is a quadruple A pitcher. I don't want to put that on him because he hasn't gotten a super long runway, but last year was not good with Cole Winn at the big league level. It wasn't good. Doesn't mean it can't be good this year, but it wasn't good last year. The fact that the Rangers passed up Cole Winn in the Mark Church demotion, I do kind of think that maybe they just don't feel like he's ready yet. But if he keeps on going scoreless like he's going right now, 21 innings, whatever it is, yeah, he's probably going to be up at the major leagues at some point. Mike, we're about to get out anyway, so appreciate you, bud. Thanks for all the comments. We'll see you on Tuesday. Thanks, man. All right, y'all. I'm going to head on out. We've been going almost an hour and a half, but hey, when we get a win, you want to go a little bit longer. That's for sure. That is for sure. I will agree with you, James. I would much rather have Corbin than an opener, right? Which is what some teams do in a game 4. I would agree. Give me playoff battle-tested Patrick Corbin in a game 4 over a bullpen game. 100%. Appreciate the follows. If you're not hitting that follow, if you haven't hit that follow or subscribe button yet, please do so. I would greatly appreciate it. If you liked what you see today, there's more to come next week, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. The rest of the week, we'll be live after most games, doing what we're doing right now, taking comments, questions, hanging out with y'all, hopefully talking Rangers wins, preferably. But we're here, rain or shine. There's no fair weather fan at Right On Rangers. We talk about everything. So y'all are great. I appreciate everybody that liked, that shared the video while we were live. Thank you for everybody that's followed as well. Hey, if you haven't done so already, you know somebody that's a diehard Rangers fans, tell them about the channel. Share one of my videos with them. I would be very, very grateful. Rangers win 8-1 over the Mariners. They head to Boston, off day tomorrow, but they head to Boston and then to Detroit for a couple of series on the road. Hopefully they take the momentum from today and they carry it into the road trip. Would love to see them go on a little bit of a roll after a rough couple of weeks. Eric, better late than never. Appreciate it, man. We've been going an hour and a half already, so we're going to get out of here. Wow. Oh, my goodness. I just got a notification from Evan Grant. Rangers have relieved Donnie Ecker of duties. Wow. There y'all go. Wow. I cannot believe that. Rangers have relieved Donnie Ecker of offensive duties. Okay. Look, some Rangers fans are going to be happy. I don't necessarily think this is going to make that big of a difference, but I know that some Rangers fans are going to be celebrating today. I really don't think Donnie Ecker getting fired is going to make that big of a difference. But now I've got some content to make videos on over the next couple of days. Donnie Ecker fired as Rangers offensive coordinator after they score 8 runs today. All right. We'll see if it gets any better, y'all. I'm not really convinced that a new coach is going to make that big of a difference, but we'll see. Time will tell. Wow. What a way to end the show today. Rangers move on from offensive coordinator Donnie Ecker. He's been with the club for about 4 or 5 years. Okay. We'll see how it goes. All right, y'all. Have a great rest of your Sunday. Good week ahead. Off day tomorrow. We'll be back Tuesday for Right On Rangers Live. Look for a couple of videos from me over the next 36 hours or so. But thank you again for a great show. And as I always say to end every show, God bless and go Rangers.